It feels amazing. I love India. India is very close to my heart. I was here in February for the first time for the movie Goddess, and we were filming, and I got to go to Agra. We were in Delhi, Mumbai, Agra, and Rishikesh, and then back to Delhi. And I got to read my children's book to the children in Agra, which is probably my favorite part. But people were looking around going, oh my gosh, look at the cows, look at the people, look at the cars, how do they live here? You know, they were kind of tripping out because they'd never been here. And I felt at home. It felt normal to me. I was sitting at home one day with my 5-year-old son, Dakota, and I was reading a book called The Goddess Shift, which is about women leading for a change in the world. And my film director, Martin Dunkerton, he heard me say, gosh, I want to be like one of these women. I always thought I had something inside. I used to be strong, and now I feel so broken, and I don't feel like I can have my dream. And he says, well, let's film it. He goes, why don't we go out and interview these people and find out who they are, how did they get to be who they are, and what did they go through, and what are they still going through, you know? And I said, no, I didn't want to do it because I wanted to be an actress. And my ego thought, you know, I wanted to do something else. Instead of sharing my life, I didn't like my life. I wasn't proud of who I was. I didn't like the feeling I had inside. And after some time, a few months, I said yes. Because I realized that nothing else was happening for me. Nobody else cared. I had one person who said, Jen, I believe in you. I believe that you can be too, just like these women. And I just said yes. And as soon as I said yes, doors were opening. I was reaching out to even men. Russell Simmons over in America, who's a big entrepreneur, a very well-known person. I mean, I'm just a farm girl from Nebraska, and I used to be very confident. I knew what I wanted, and I would go and I would do it. And I became a single mother in my early 20s, and I went through some very tough times as a single mother. Courts and children's services knocking on my door. Well, we had domestic disputes, and we would have children's services come over, you know, because we had a small child. And they said, well, somebody has to keep the child. And they gave my child to my son's father because he had the home and the job. And I was pumping my breast milk down the street to my 1-year-old child, visiting him in a children's field office twice a week. And one day I went in for a visit, and my son couldn't walk. And they said, you need to take him to the doctor. And my son's father was a natural homeopathic doctor, and he says, no, I'm not going to rush him into a doctor. In my gut, I knew something was going to happen bad, and I tried to see him to take him. Sure enough, the next day we had a visit, and they said, you need to take him to a doctor. And I said, of course. And so we took him, and he had a fractured tibia. They took him away from both of us. They put him in foster care. He went in 3 different homes in 2 weeks. At that time, I was staying in an apartment with no heat, no toilet. I didn't have any money. I didn't have family with me. And I fought for him. And I received my son. I got it together. I got my home. I got my job. I got the apartment. I began my journey as a single mother in New York City, with children's services checking in on me every other day. And then my son's father decided not to pay child support, and he closed his business and he left the country. I dropped $100,000 child support 3 years later, because I wanted my son to know his dad, even if he wasn't paying. And the price I paid for that was my own sister taking my son from me because she knew I was going through a tough time. And when he came back, he started filing kidnapping against my sister and the judge in the small courts, in the superior courts in a small town in Nebraska. And that made it worse for me and my son. I was wrongfully kept from my son. Even my visitation rights were kept from me wrongfully. And my mother finally started to see that my sister had some issues, because it wasn't just me. My sister was keeping my son from everybody, even my own mother. I would be lying to sit here with you today to say that my life is completely wonderful. I'm still fighting for my son. I fought for him for a year. I hired an attorney and I lost. At that time, I took a year off and I wrote 85 children's books, 6 poetry books, and I began working on the film more. I again hired an attorney for 2 years because the therapist that was seeing my son suggested I do this. It took me 2 years to get back into that courtroom. I did everything that they wanted me to do. I got the home, I got the job, I got the therapy. But inside, I wasn't strong. Inside, I felt I was lying. I was doing what they wanted me to do, but I wasn't strong. And so I've surrendered because I said, maybe this is an opportunity for me to get strong. Maybe this is an opportunity for me to heal and to actually show people through this film that if I can do it, you can do it too. And maybe they can see themselves in this film. Even a man, people think it's just women, but men go through their same amount of struggles. It's not talked about as much, but women have a lot. And I really care about people because of what I've gone through. And I want to help. But I'm still helping myself. But as you help yourself, you help others, right? So like I said, I fought for 2 years and I lost. And at that time, I could have continued fighting, which meant, I forget what they call it, but you go in and there's a panel of judges that can veto the first judge's decision. And I had 30 days to decide if I was going to go forward in that way. It's a lot of money, it's a lot of time, it's a lot of disappointment. And I just said, I don't want to fight anymore. I can't do this. I'm not going to win. I didn't feel I would win. I felt I was up against the same kind of judgmental people in Nebraska where I come from. And the only way I will get my son back, I didn't give up. I just said, I'm not going to go through this system. I'm going to do it a different way. I'm really going to heal. I'm really going to ask God for the right things and to stand tall and proud and strong, where that they can't look at me and question anything. My son will come back to me. But I think that that's also in life. There's a divine order. There's a divine force. So as much as I want to say, oh, I'm going to do this, I don't know for sure, but that's my intention. And I think it begins with an intention. Everything begins with an intention. And we have to allow that as well. I think we have to allow love. We have to allow healing. And for me, that's been the hardest thing, is to allow. Because I sort of have this deep feeling of unworthiness, this deep feeling of lack of love, that I didn't receive from my parents. I grew up in America. I'm very blessed in so many ways, right, to be an American woman. I understand that there's many women in countries around the world that don't have the same privileges that I do. But I do know suffering, and I do know what it's like to be without a voice. And I think that that's what's so amazing about this conference is that there's so many women around the world. And we're all so unique and we're all so different, but we're all the same. We're all here for the same reason. We're all here to find our voice. We're all here to heal. We're all here to be heard. We're all here to support each other. So I just want to get back to it. Instead of living in the past, my problem is I go into like what I feel in the past, right? Because it's such a It's like trauma. It's a feeling that's always there. And I know people say, oh, well, live here now, be happy now, be grateful. And I try to be grateful, but sometimes the feeling's pretty intense. But I have hope that one day it'll shift. And I think that reaching out to other people helps me because I realize I'm not alone, and to be of service to other women or to children. Those children touch me more than I touch them. And Agra, I came to, bring them joy. They brought me joy, more joy than I could ever imagine. So I think that there's something to be said about feeling and being in your story, but also to be able to share and to be able to reach out and go out and do things as well to serve others is a great part of my healing, or will be. And I was afraid. This is the first time I've actually gone to a conference like this. Yes, I'm doing a movie, but it's different. You do a movie, you got somebody following you around just for a little bit, and then you go and you live your life, and I hide away. I don't want people to know sometimes. But I also know that, that's also what's wrong with the world. People aren't talking about their issues. People are ashamed of how they feel. They're afraid to show their vulnerability. I think it's our greatest strength. And I feel more care from you in this 10 minutes than I felt from people I've known a long time. So I think that there was a part of me that felt very disconnected from the world and things that I've experienced. And I looked out and I would see people and I would see them in their lives and I would say, why can't I be like them? That I don't really have a want or a desire or anything like that anymore necessarily. Because I know that yes, you can have a great job. Yes, you can have a great home. Yes, you can have a partner. Yes, you can have your children. Yes, you can have all these things, right? That we think are going to bring us happiness. I want that happiness. I want that contentment. I want that knowing of myself, that love, that peace. Because I do know where it comes from. And I just want to get strong again so that I'm not so trying to please people, doing what they want me to do or listening to what they're saying to me and making it feel so. And then I want to help others. Everyone around the world. I was shocked the other day because I met an ambassador of Zambia. Do you know Judith? Judith invited me to her office. And I was so nervous because I thought she's going to look at me and go, what does this young white woman know, middle-aged white woman know about suffering or what I'm, anything. She didn't do that. She embraced me like her sister. And she said, Jen, we have a lot of work to do together. She's like, I know you. She's like, you're going to come to Zambia. She goes, my home is your home. And I left that place going, oh my goodness. You guys give me hope. You guys give me hope that there is a family, that there is a sisterhood, that even though we're so different, we can unite for the same purpose. Because at the end of the day, we want the same things, It's just different ways of getting there, different experiences, right? Shakti, when I hear the word Shakti, I feel like a bolt of energy, like almost like it runs up my spine. Very powerful, feminine energy is what I feel. Empowerment for me is as one is completely, authentically in love with oneself. It's not necessarily doing anything on the outside, though doing things are wonderful. But I think it's more about an inside job, empowerment, taking responsibility, taking personal responsibility for as much as you can with how you feel and in your life and in your actions, in your thoughts. And to me, that's empowerment.